You're walking through a quiet forest. A twig snaps somewhere ahead of you. And every creature that heard you coming, the deer, the fox, the badger halfway into its dinner, has already frozen, gone silent, or slipped away. You didn't shout, you didn't chase anything. You just talked. But here's the strange part. That fox has never been hunted. Its parents were never hunted. Nothing in its life taught it to fear you. So why does the sound of your voice empty an entire forest? The answer isn't that you're big, or loud, or armed. It's that the animals know something about us we've forgotten about ourselves. Let's start with the story you probably believe. You assume animals are afraid of people because somewhere down the line people hurt them. A deer runs because deer get shot. A bird scatters because someone once meant it harm. Fear in this story is a lesson. Learned the hard way, passed down, earned. Teach an animal you're harmless, and the fear should fade. It's a tidy story. It's also wrong, because the fear shows up in animals that were never taught it. It shows up in places where no one hunts. And it shows up in creatures that by every rule of nature should be afraid of almost nothing at all. To see it, you have to do something strange. You have to scare animals on purpose, carefully, scientifically, and film exactly what they do. That's what a pair of biologists named Liana Zanet and Michael Clinchy have spent years doing. Their tool isn't a gun or a trap. It's a hidden speaker. They wait for a wild animal to show up, then play it a sound, a lion, a dog, a barking threat, and measure the fear in its body, how long it freezes, how fast it flees, how much dinner it's too frightened to finish. And then they play it the most terrifying sound they've got. A human being, talking, not shouting, not growling, just a person, reading a book out loud. Start with a badger. In 2016, in an old English woodland called Wytham Woods, Clinchy and Zanet's team ran exactly this test. Now, a badger in Britain has no natural predators left. The bears are gone, the wolves are gone. For centuries, nothing large has hunted it in that forest. So the badgers should have been calm. They weren't. When the speakers played bears, the badgers were wary. When they played the sound of people simply chatting, reading passages aloud, most badgers wouldn't feed at all. The few brave enough to try barely touched their food, glancing up, again and again, at a threat that was only a voice. A human voice frightened them more than the predators their whole species had spent millions of years learning to fear. Okay, you might think. A badger's small. Small things are jumpy, but here's where it gets strange. Because the same thing happens to the animals that are supposed to be doing the scaring. Go to the Santa Cruz Mountains in California, where the suburbs press right up against the wild. Up in those hills lives the mountain lion, a puma, 100 pounds of muscle, the undisputed top predator for miles. Nothing hunts it, nothing chases it. It is the apex, the thing everything else runs from. In 2017, a young biologist named Justine Smith, working with that same research team, set hidden speakers at the sites where 17 wild pumas had made their kills. She waited for a lion to settle in over its fresh meal, and then played it the sound of people talking. Calm human conversation. The result was almost comical, if it weren't so telling. The pumas fled. This apex predator, mid-meal, abandoned its own kill and vanished into the dark. It took far longer to come back. And across the study, the lions cut their feeding time by more than half, all because they heard us speak. Not a gunshot, not a dog, a voice. The predator at the top of the mountain is terrified of the sound of you having a conversation. And that fear isn't harmless to the lion either. In those same hills, the researchers found the pumas were so rattled by human presence that they killed more deer to make up for the meals fear kept interrupting, up to a third more. The fear doesn't just scare them, it follows them home. So this isn't a badger being nervous, or a deer being skittish. This reaches all the way up the food chain. And the biggest experiment yet ran it straight through the most fearsome animals on Earth. In 2023, Zanet teamed up with Craig Packer, one of the world's leading lion experts, and hauled the hidden speakers into South Africa's Greater Kruger National Park, home to one of the largest lion populations left on the planet. They set the systems at waterholes and waited. When an animal came to drink, the speaker would play one of two things: lions snarling and growling to each other, or humans talking in ordinary voices. Then they watched who ran. The lions there are the local nightmare, the reason so many animals never see morning. And still, across 19 species, from antelope to leopards to elephants, the wildlife were twice as likely to run from the human voices, and they abandoned the water 40% faster. 95% of the species tested were more frightened of us than of lions. Even the elephants. An elephant can stand its ground against a lion, turn, and face it down. But when the speaker played human voices, the elephants didn't fight, they left. And here's the part that should land hardest. These animals live inside a protected park. No one is allowed to hunt them there. By the old story, the comfortable one, where fear is just a lesson from being shot. They should be getting calmer with every peaceful year. Instead, the researchers found the opposite. The fear of humans, they concluded, is ingrained and pervasive. It doesn't wear off. It doesn't fade. It just sits there, in the deepest part of the animal, waiting for the sound of a voice. So we come back to the question, why? Why does nearly every animal on Earth, predator and prey, hunted and protected, treat the sound of a human as the most dangerous thing in the world? For that, you have to stop thinking about individual guns and traps and look at the whole species, at what we actually are. In 2015, a scientist named Chris Darrimont at the University of Victoria did exactly that. He and his team pulled together a global survey, more than 2,000 measurements of how hard different predators hit their prey, and stacked humans up against every other hunter in nature. What they found earned us a new name, super predator, because we don't hunt like anything else alive. We kill adult prey, the strong breeding adults, at up to 14 times the rate of any other predator. We hunt large carnivores, the bears and the wolves and the lions, at 9 times the rate they kill each other. Think of a population like a bank account. A natural predator lives off the interest, the young, the old, the sick, the easy margins. We spend the capital. We take the animals in their prime, at the peak of their strength, the ones nothing else on Earth would dare touch. And we do it in a way nothing in evolution could prepare for. We kill from a distance. We kill in packs, with dogs and tools and fire and machines. We kill far more than we need. To a lion, a rival lion is a known danger with known rules. To every animal alive, we are a predator with no rules at all. One that can end you from across a valley, that comes in numbers, that never seems to stop. So the fear isn't a misunderstanding. It isn't a grudge. It's the single most accurate thing those animals have ever worked out. They see us more clearly than we see ourselves. We picture ourselves as hikers and campers, tourists with cameras, nature lovers, gentle, harmless. But that's not who's walking through the forest, as far as the forest is concerned. To the deer and the fox and the lion, the sound of a human voice is the sound of the deadliest animal that has ever lived. And their bodies do the only sensible thing. They run. That fear does something bigger than empty a single waterhole. It reshapes whole landscapes. In a follow-up study led by Justin Sarasi in those same mountains, the sound of humans rippled through the entire food web. The big cats went quiet and cautious. The medium-sized hunters slunk away. And the smallest animals, sensing the giants had fled, crept out and fed more freely. No one was killed. No one was even touched. The sound of us alone was enough to rearrange who ate, who hid, and who ruled the night. We are in a sense haunting places we've never even set foot in. But here's the turn, and it's a strangely hopeful one. That same terrible power might be something we can hand back. If the mere sound of a human voice can move a lion off its kill and clear a crowded waterhole, then it can also be aimed the other way, used to gently push endangered animals out of harm's reach, to shield the hunted, to guard the very creatures our species spent so long destroying. The thing that makes us the most frightening animal alive could, just maybe, make us a kind of protector. The scientists in Kruger said exactly that hidden inside our fearsomeness is a brand new way to save some species. So the next time you're out in a wild place and you say something out loud and you notice how the world seems to go quiet around you, pay attention to that silence. It isn't emptiness, it's recognition. Somewhere out there, an animal you will never see has heard the single most dangerous creature nature has ever produced. It has weighed lions against you and decided the lions are the safer bet. And it has done the one thing a million years of survival taught it to do when the super predator speaks. It has gone still and hoped you pass it by.